to an episode of Steelman's Takes. I am your host, Steelman. Today, we're going to go over the draft. So it was an exciting time, and I got to watch the entire thing, and it was, man, was it exciting. So I was a little disappointed, just a little bit, that Pittsburgh didn't take a cornerback in the first round. When they traded up, I thought sure Christian Gonzalez was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, but he wasn't. And they picked Broderick Jones instead. And I was a little disappointed. Like, I know we need an offensive tackle. I know we need to fix our offensive line and stuff, but man, I really was hoping for a fast, good cornerback. For whatever reason, Pittsburgh doesn't pick cornerbacks that are, they haven't had a good history with cornerbacks in the past. And I really wanted to see our franchise cornerback get selected in the first round. But they went with Broderick Jones. So like I said, I was disappointed. But after the draft, I went back and I kind of watched some of his highlights. And I watched a little bit before the draft. I knew who he was and stuff, but man, he's a solid guy. He is a tough guy. He's a big guy, and he is going to make defenses struggle to get to Kenny Pickett. And man, am I excited to see what this offense does this year. So that was my first take from the draft, was we got Broderick Jones, and man, afterwards, I was pretty excited. I was really excited that Broderick Jones is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. The second takeaway that I got was we drafted Joey Porter Jr. Keep it in the family, right? What can I say? Pittsburgh loves to do that. Again, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought that Pittsburgh should have gone after somebody a little bit faster, a little bit more agile. I wanted somebody that was speedier. Like, I really wanted to, like, if you look at the AFC, you got guys that are, the Ravens just drafted Zay Flowers, a pretty fast, small wide receiver. The Bengals, they got the fast wide receivers. They got those wide receivers that they can just, Jamar Chase is just, he's on another level. So, you got these guys that are fast and quick. And the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. So you got fast wide receivers that we need cornerbacks that can keep up with them. And I didn't see Pittsburgh go after a fast corner. They went after Joey Porter Jr., which is not a horrible pick. He had a very good season. He's a very good player. He has history with Pittsburgh. I think that it was a good pick. I think that the Steelers drafting Joey Porter Jr. I think it was a good pick. Now that I look back at it, he was very good. He had a very good pass breakup rating. He's a solid corner. Not quite as fast as some of the wide receivers, but hey, the way what Pittsburgh did in the draft, and we'll talk about that here in a second, what Pittsburgh did in the draft, he might not have to be a fast cornerback. He might just have to be able to tackle and be able to swat that ball when it comes his way. And so I'm excited. I was really excited after the draft at what Pittsburgh did and the scheme that they seem to be setting up. And man, it's an exciting time to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. So because of the way that Pittsburgh did their draft process, I was ecstatic. I think that they were really, really focused on the offense, but yet they also focused really good on the defense. But here's what we're looking at in the draft, that Pittsburgh, the way that they approached the draft and who they got for the offensive side. So, the number one player that everybody talks about that I saw was Darnell Washington. 6'7", 264 pounds, ran a 4.64, huge guy. But here's the thing, not only can he catch, but he can also block like an offensive lineman. And I think that with the addition of Darnell Washington to our offense, our run game is just going to be intense. Like, wow. Our offense is just going to be like crazy in the run game. I could see Najee Harris like hitting a well over 1,000 yards. And same with Jaylen Warren. These guys ran last year behind an offensive line that wasn't the greatest. Towards the end they meshed, but they weren't the greatest. But they ran behind an offensive line, and Najee Harris was hurt halfway through the season, ran behind not a great offensive line, and most teams knew that pretty much our only weapon was run game for a while, because we got Kenny Pickett. He's a good quarterback. I think he's going to have a huge jump this year. But it took him some time to kind of flow, to kind of find his rhythm a little bit. And Najee still had over 1,000 yards. Like, the way that we're setting up our offense is just ridiculous. And I am looking forward to this season, because our run game, like, listen to look at what the run game does in games. It manages the clock better, makes games go a little bit faster. The other team has the ball less. They don't have the ball as much, which means they can't score as much. And our defense, they just need to keep us in the game. I mean, our offense is really going to flow this year. And man, I'm excited to see what happens. The other one that I noticed was Pittsburgh in undrafted signings. They drafted a center out of Iowa State, Tanner Morgan. He's a QB. And they also drafted another offensive tackle. They actually drafted the offensive tackle at pick 251 in Spencer Anderson, offensive guard, I mean. So, I mean, really, Pittsburgh really went and they got the guys that they wanted with the picks that they had. And I thought it was just tremendous to see what Omar Khan did with that 4th round draft pick. Man, they traded it to the Patriots. But then they still ended up getting a 4th round draft pick and getting Nick Herbig, the guy that I believe that they wanted in the first place. So they still ended up getting their guy. It just took them a few picks later. Like, how do you manage that? Like, how did you? I just don't have. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have the stomach for that kind of stuff, man. Holy cow! And when Pittsburgh traded back, I didn't think they were going to get Darnell Washington. Thought sure he was going to be gone. But man, Pittsburgh figures things out. Like, I was so excited to see them draft him. And at first I thought, man, what in the world? Why are you going after a tight end when we got all these other needs to fix? But man, he's not really just a tight end. He's just a huge guy, great player on our team. So those kind of my take was, I think Pittsburgh killed the draft. PFF says they killed it, and analysts say that they killed the draft. I think Pittsburgh absolutely obliterated this year's draft, and they just, wow. And then when Pittsburgh had a break in the 5th and 6th round where they didn't have anybody that they were picking, they go and sign free agent Chandon Sullivan, another cornerback, 5'11", 189 pounds. I mean, not a bad player. I mean, 5 interceptions on his career, 23 passes defended, 136 solo tackles. Like, the guy's solid. The guy is solid. He's a good slot corner. So, I mean, Pittsburgh really made some moves over the draft weekend that I am just, wow. I'm just very impressed with. So, the other players that Pittsburgh drafted, and let me get back into this a little bit. The other players Pittsburgh went after was Keanu Benton, Nick Herbig, I already mentioned him, Corey Trice. He could be one of the biggest steals in the draft if he's healthy compared to Joey Porter. So he's about the same size, same build, same speed, good hands. He's a solid player. But one of the reasons he went that late in the draft was he had a medical history. And in 2021, I believe he tore his ACL. Didn't play much, didn't have a good year, but he came back and played 2022 and had a great year, had a great season. But because of that medical flag, he went later in the round, and man, Pittsburgh could have picked up a steal. Pittsburgh could have picked up somebody that is just going to be solid, and man, I'm pumped about that. The next one we're going to look at is Keanu Benton. He's violent, aggressive, he's an attacker. He fits the mold for the Steelers and will grow to be a great addition alongside Cam Hayward and Ogunjobi. Look at what the Steelers are doing on both sides of the ball. So we have our offense. We drafted Darnell Washington. We got Broderick Jones. We went out and signed 2 guards this past year, Isaac Seumalo, Nate Herbig. We went out and got these guys, and they really set up the offense. But look what they did on the defensive side. Joey Porter, Keanu Benton, they completely cleaned house in the inside linebacker room. They absolutely cleaned house. Man, like, look at that. Look at that. And I mean, you got these guys that are fresh, they're new to the team, they come with a winning mentality. And I am just like, wow, I'm sitting back watching Steelers take these aggressive moves, and I'm like, I'm not used to this. I am not used to this. So it's exciting to sit back and see. I mean, they drafted Nick Herbig. He's an edge. Imagine this guy, he's from Wisconsin, same school as TJ Watt, has connections with TJ Watt, said in his press conference he talks a lot with TJ Watt, and now he plays with TJ Watt. You imagine him playing behind TJ Watt and freaking growing to be a great edge? Like, holy cow. Like, Pittsburgh is setting up, and again, I've said this in my last videos, but Pittsburgh is seriously setting up for the future. Not only are they taking care, I don't think they're going to be in a rebuild this year. I think it could take them a couple years to mesh, to gel together. But holy cow, I think they're going to just explode this year. And I think that Pittsburgh is really going to just their offense, their team is just going to take off. And man, am I excited to see it. I just think that, wow, Keanu Benson, 6'4", 309 pounds. Like I said, he's going to be a great addition alongside Cam Hayward, Ogunjobi. My take, Steelman's take from the draft, the Steelers did what was needed to get their guy. I love the aggressiveness and the positions that they filled. Like I said earlier, I wanted a faster cornerback, but I will take a mentally solid guy that wants to win any day. And I think that's in I read an article that Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, he had a pre-draft meeting with Christian Gonzalez and didn't like his mentality. So I mean, that's why they didn't draft him. So I mean, hey, if they got somebody else that has a better winning mentality and has a Pittsburgh Steeler mentality, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. So I think that Pittsburgh is just going to have a great season. They might not be like, I definitely think they'll make the playoffs, but they might not make it to the Super Bowl or anything like that. But hopefully they'll at least win a couple playoff games. Like, man, and we're in a rebuild year with Kenny Pickett. I mean, like, come on. Like, Pittsburgh is just going to go. Pickett is going to be a huge player. He's going to have a breakout season. I really think so. And I think Harris will too. I think Harris is going to take a year 3 jump, and he's going to have 1,200, 1,300 yards easy. I think that with the way that Pittsburgh's setting up to run the ball as much as they are, he should have at least 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards. So I think that Pittsburgh is just going to seriously explode. So that was my take from the draft. I was able to watch it and just really after watching the draft and seeing what Pittsburgh did, I really think that Pittsburgh put together an amazing draft. And I'm looking forward to the season to see what they do with it. It might not be the season that Pittsburgh have a breakout year. It could be next year, 2 years from now. I mean, but Pittsburgh eventually they're just going to take off. I mean, they have the young guys, they have the talent, they have the team to do it. They just have to flow together. And man, I could really see this taking off, and I'm super pumped. So thank you for joining Steelman's Takes. Please subscribe. Please follow my channel, follow my podcast. I love talking about the Steelers, so stay tuned.